Well, we also say Happy New Year to our colleague Jack Arute. Jack is with us here tonight in New Orleans. Jack.
Well, Happy New Year to you, Brent, as well. And you know, if the University of West Virginia is looking for national recognition, no one could blame the Florida Gators for maybe looking for some recognition within their own state. For the last couple of years, they've played in the shadow of Florida State and Miami as they chase national championships. But Coach Steve Spurrier says it's more important to consider these facts. As a player and as a coach, Spurrier's been involved in the Sugar Bowl. He's lost both times. In fact, Florida's 0 for 3 in Sugar Bowl appearances. He also says he'd like to make the Florida Gators in 1993, their 94 appearance here, be a first 11-game season for the Florida Gators in football history. At the end of 60 minutes, we'll know if Spurrier gets his wishes for 93 on the first day of 1994.
There is the man who is at the helm the 4th year of the Gators over in Gainesville, Florida. He's done an absolutely remarkable job. And happy birthday to Donnie Nealon, 58 years old, as we turn the corner and head for 1994. And where does the time go? Todd Sauerbrunn to kick it off here in New Orleans. The big hop to Houston, one of the wide receivers. Ooh, Houston out to the 24-yard line. And it'll be Terry Dean with Steve Spurrier, the head coach. He's also the offensive coordinator. He'll send in the plays. It has been a roller coaster ride for young Dean out of Naples, Florida this year. He's finished only one game that he started for the Gators, but it was a big one. That was against Alabama in the SEC title game over in Birmingham. And the players on the team came away and told us here this week when we met with them that was the day that Terry Dean came of age. He became one of the players when he bent down in the huddle. They knew he was in charge. And here he is in charge, calling the first play, moving Houston over about a half yard in the slot. And they will do what Spurrier loves to do best of all. Incomplete. And West Virginia delivers the first hit from Wes Richardson, number 41. Now, along with the passing game, Kelvin Randolph, a fullback, will help set the table for Eric Rett when the Gators do go to that run game. Anthony Ingracia starting at left tackle as he did against Alabama in the SEC title game. On the defensive side, Derek Wiley, number 45, one of the big hit men for the Mountaineers. And Wes Richardson has already made one big play. And speaking of hitters, Mike Collins, number 25, in that West Virginia backfield. 2nd and 10. Dean rolling to the right. Incomplete, pressured by Scotty Gaskins, and a penalty flag down at the 20-yard line here.
Well, Steve Dunlap, the defensive coordinator for West Virginia, said he's never been as uncomfortable in preparation for a football game as he has been in preparing for these guys. Very little sleep. He says they're totally unpredictable, and it forces you to whittle down your defensive game plan. But the one thing they won't do is eliminate aggressiveness. These kids are aggressive.
Jimmy Kimmerling is our referee here tonight. Ed Manning is the umpire, and the head linesman is Ed Peters.
Downfield on the offense. Penalties decline. 3rd down.
Danny Werfel not in shoulder pads. He injured a knee against Florida State. Will not play tonight. He was shielding Steve Spurrier, watching as the play was being signaled out to Terry Dean. And there's about 10 seconds left. Plenty of time on the play clock. Houston comes down toward the offensive tackle. And again, he throws for the first down to the 40-yard line. And Charlie Dean, no relation to the quarterback, the big tight end, the senior 6'2", 245, with the game's first down.
Well, they don't go to him very often, but they go to him in critical situations. Left side of your screen, crossing pattern. Dean settles down in the hook zone right there in between the linebackers, takes it up, and makes the first down.
Ball at the Gators' 38-yard line. They were beaten here 2 years ago in the Sugar Bowl by Notre Dame. That was Eric Rett who stepped out in motion. Randolph slides out down the middle and incomplete. overthrew Willie Jackson, number 22 that time.
I noticed in the Alabama game that Dean in the first quarter and second quarter threw a lot of balls over the top of the receiver. And the third quarter and going into the fourth quarter, all of a sudden the nose started coming down and hitting the receivers between the numbers. And I really felt he started regaining that confidence he lost through being shuffled around.
Well, sooner or later the Gators will call a running play.
Don't hold your breath.
2nd and 10 now, and Red is the record-setting tailback, number 33, and off a play fake, Dean firing complete to the 42-yard line, just keeping the ball in the air, and Wes Richardson making another stop.
Well, Steve Spurrier told both you and I, Brent, that he's going to come in the ball game wide open. Yes, he's going to run the football game, and if the ball game starts going that they're running a little bit better, then they'll run a little bit more. But he's coming in wide open. They like to throw the ball 55% of the time and run the ball 45%.
He's very confident tonight, not wearing a visor, nothing to toss if he gets upset. He feels good about this one. 3rd and 6. And Dean with the call up at the line in the noisy Superdome. West Virginia shows blitz. Picked up in time. One-on-one, overthrew the wide man.
When they were working in the dome this week, they've been here all week. When they worked in here, they used loud music. That these kids are used to giving hand signals to the receivers and everything. That time, Steve Dunlap, the defensive coordinator you see on the screen right there, called the blitz. They picked up the blitz, but they didn't complete the pass when the receiver was open.
Well, here comes the MVP, as far as many of us were concerned, of that SEC championship game. Shane Edge in the 3rd quarter. Things were looking gloomy. He took off and ran for 20 yards from his own 36. They then struck pay dirt on the next, and the game was never the same. And that was Mike Baker of the Mountaineers set to return this. A great duel in the 2 punting games, and Edge nails one. And he said, I didn't want that one in the end zone. I didn't want 57 yards. I wanted him down inside the 20, but it was not to be. Well, if you like tough quarterbacks out of the mold of Billy Kilmer, here's your man, Jake Kelchner from Berwick, Pennsylvania. And Jack Arute, what about the crowd noise when it picks up here for Jake?
Well, Brent, interestingly enough, the chief referee, Jim Kemmerling, told both teams in a meeting yesterday he will not, I repeat, will not enforce the noise rule that is used during normal games. He says it's hard to determine who's making the most noise in a bowl game.
Most noise right here, Jack, made by the Mountaineer fans as Kelchner, who's a surprisingly strong runner, carried it around the left side. Normally he'll hand it to Robert Walker, 43, behind this offensive line, which features the All-American tackle Rich Graham, number 78. And against the Gator defense, will line up this way. Kevin Carter played well against the Crimson Tide in the SEC title game. Eddie Robinson's their leading tackler. And back in that defensive backfield, Michael Gilmore, wonderful story, number 35, pre-med student, 3.75 grade point average, and a fine football player. This is 2nd and 2 after the 8-yard run. Kelchner throws to the sideline, and Baker at the 42 for a Mountaineer first down.
This is Mountaineer football, Brent. They like to run the football, use the run to set up the play action. This time they use a little counter action. They freeze people inside. The coverage sits down a little bit there, back there in the zones. They hit the corner pattern in behind the rolled up corner. So you'll see it to the right side of your screen. Good job.
14-yard gain to Baker, who goes out to the left along with Hill. Ryan, the tight end, in that direction, and a spinner by the fullback Jimmy Freeman into the arms of Dexter Daniels, number 48.
What we see them doing right now, using a tight end going unbalanced in motion, is new. They have not done that all year. Now they're running the same offense they normally run, but they're bringing an extra blocker. That's how they made the nice run with the quarterback on the opposite time.
Jake Kelchner had to be replaced in the 4th quarter of the great comeback against Boston College. He had trouble with his right elbow. You'll notice a heavy pad on it. A play fake. Kelchner fires complete again, and another Mountaineer first down into the hands of Mike Baker, the senior wide receiver.
Rich Braham, you mentioned, is an All-American. Now, he's quite a story, Brent. He came to school as a walk-on. He was not a recruited player. Here he is right here. Not a recruited player. He developed himself. He became a starter. He became captain. He became All-Conference. He became All-American. Quite a story.
Another 14 yards, and the Mountaineers have moved to the Gator 44. Now it's Robert Walker slashing to the 41-yard line. Robinson and Gaines bring him down.
Ron Zook, the defensive coordinator for Florida, said that one thing they're going to do is they are going to commit to stop the run and force Kelchner to throw the football. If we have to line up with 8 people, we will do it. We are not afraid to blitz. We are not afraid to play man-to-man. Ron Zook made those statements to me. Now, sometimes you get in the ball game, you start calling those blitzes. You can chicken out, you know.
2nd and 7. The Mountaineers with a basic eye, and the tight end line stepping over to the right side. Kelchner looks toward the right. He's going to swing it out to Walker. 40. To the 34, close to a first down. Larry Kennedy, the defensive back who led the Gators in tackles against Alabama, number 3, coming up to make his first stop of this game.
What they're doing with that swing pass is taking the tight end and releasing him outside and trying to screen off the defense, then swinging the back wide here and trying to attack a soft area in the coverage. Drop back pass, get the linebackers right. You'll see the tight end screen him off here. No defender on him in that zone defense out there. A lot of running room. You can't give that man that much room to run with the football.
It is 3rd and 1. 1 running back, 2 tight ends, and West Virginia shows pass out of it. Kelchner in trouble, and it is incomplete, and this leaves them with 4th and 1. An unusual call.
Yeah, unusual call. You know something, Brent? They did the same thing against Miami, the first 3rd and 1 situation, when we saw them play early in the year. I believe they will second-guess that decision. They don't have a good field goal kicker. Now, they might decide just to go ahead and go for it because they are strong and physical in the offensive line. They've done a pretty good job of converting 3rd down situations running the ball.
So this will be a 4th down. And Jack Arute, what about elbow surgery? Is that possible for Kelchner with that bruised elbow again and that bursa sac problem?
Brent, it is indeed a possibility. You know, he's wearing that protective white bandage around his elbow. You can see it there. They say he's got some fluid on his elbow, but it has not affected his throwing arm.
Walker for the first down. A very confident West Virginia team throwing on 3rd down, and on 4th and 1 they run with Walker. He is quite a story. John Jones was the starter this year, injured. Walker comes in, Dick, and gained 1,000 yards.
Ron Zook came in with 5 defensive linemen. He has not done that all year. They still blocked the 5 defensive linemen and made the first down. We will see this change up not only in 3rd and short situations, 4th down situations. We'll see it scattered in. That's part of their game plan. 5 down linemen.
Impressive opening drive for West Virginia. And timeout. We'll take a break here from the USF&G Insurance Sugar Bowl in New Orleans. Florida and West Virginia are scoreless. John, that was closer than a lot of folks thought, and the Irish were favored by 7 in that Cotton Bowl in Dallas today. West Virginia, the champions of the Big East on the day, 1-1. Miami shellacked by Arizona this afternoon. What a performance out in the desert. Now here for the Mounties, Kelchner going to the end zone. Kearney's there. Touchdown, West Virginia.
Brent, Mike Jacobs, the offensive coordinator, told me they've been scoring from the 30 on in, throwing post patterns. They felt they would come in and not run the post. They would make a little move to the post and go to the corner pattern. Lot number 9 took the bite to the post. Here's the corner pattern executed perfectly. Touchdown. Good game planning by the coaching staff.
Tom Mazzone puts West Virginia up by 7. A 32-yard scoring pass from senior quarterback Jake Kelchner to senior wide receiver Jay Kearney. And Kearney averaged 63 yards on his 4 previous touchdowns this year.
You can see right now they're one-on-one here. One guy here, one receiver here, free safety, man-to-man to the right side of your screen. Down, make a move to the post, and go for the corner off play-action passing. Good design, corner all alone. Lott takes the move to the post, gets to the corner, free safety comes too flat. Gilmore can't help.
Unbeaten Mountaineers with the first score in the '94 USF&G Insurance Sugar Bowl. Todd Sauerbrunn, the punter, and he tries the long field goals. He also handles the kickoffs. Jack Jackson and Houston back deep.
He has a real good leg.
This is Jackson a yard deep. Cuts back to the 27. Jack Jackson, who led the SEC in touchdown receptions this year, and someday, folks, you're going to see him playing in a Monday nighter. In our final Monday nighter of the season, the San Francisco 49ers put it in high gear with the Philadelphia Eagles, one of those teams decimated by injuries this year. Not the same after they lost Randall Cunningham. The Niners will be tuning it up for the playoffs, which will begin next week in the National Football League.
But the one thing those Eagles have done is they have played consistently hard, and they played awfully well last week in beating the Saints.
Florida's first possession, they passed 6 straight plays. Now Eric Rhett on the toss finds a huge hole for a Florida first down as they discover the running game.
This is really different. They toss the ball, and it counters back. Very different. They'll toss it to him this way, and he'll catch it, and then come back with a lead block to the fullback. Very different. It's the only school I've seen run this play. Good block by Kelvin Randolph at the point of attack. Move the chains. Here it is again. That frees the linebacker, starts him moving one way, makes him easier to block.
12 yards and a first down, and that gains Rhett another carry. And Eric Rhett, he, of course, surpassed Emmitt Smith's career rushing record of 3,928 yards, and he is shaken up on that play as he goes down, and he is grabbing at his back down there at the 47-yard line. And here comes the medical staff for the Gators out there out of West Hollywood, Florida. He's a young man who was heavily recruited by West Virginia. In fact, Coach Nealon thought that he was going to land him in Morgantown.
Take a look at this at the reverse angle. You know, Brent, earlier too, and the first time he got hit catching a ball over the middle, he got up rubbing his back, if you'll remember. He's stretched out there right now. It doesn't appear to be obvious there. You know, and the second string running back is not here. Tony Davis is not here, so if he can't play, they'll have to go with a true freshman.
Terrence Foy was getting most of the practice deck. Let's see if number 5 enters the game, or if they go with a fullback. As Rhett,
you talk about
medical
production.
attention, they're going to stick with a fullback right now is what they're going to do. They'll use Randolph back there as the lone setback while Rhett's recuperating over on the sideline, and they'll give it to Randolph. He slipped through as Steve Perkins, number 97, grabbed him first.
He cut back too soon. I'll tell you this, if you're going to defense Florida's offense, you better not allow them to run the football, because if they start running the ball with Eric Rhett, they'll give it to him like they did in the Gator Bowl last year. He ran for over 190 yards. You better stop them, because if you have to stop both the run and the great pass, you're in trouble.
He's back in the game. He's a tough hombre.
Yes,
He's a state wrestling champion down at Hollywood MacArthur High before coming to Gainesville. This is 3rd and 3 for the Gators. And Dean off a quick drop throws incomplete. And Perkins